Sometimes I feel like a villain. Hello, my brothers and sisters. Been a minute since I've uploaded a video, and I thought I would do it today because it's been a minute. I've been ruminating over a lot of things, and in general, I've been busy. I've had many obstacles, and I think I'm at a point now, and just various stuff too. This is a new computer, but I'm going to share with you guys a very serious video, very serious story. To be honest with you, it's technically not my story, it's someone else's. But the person, the recipient of these experiences, they do not have discernment, so they don't know what happened to them. Only I can tell the story, basically. And I know that there's going to be people that are going to watch this video who are going to chalk up everything as one big coincidence, which is completely fine. Man, I'm tired. It's fine if you think that. I still want you to listen, and maybe you can draw some kind of moral or ethic or aesthetic from the story. Or, I'd like somebody to hear it and provide some feedback. But essentially, the story is about my mom. It's about my mom. And I should give some expository about my mom. Now, she is a feisty woman. I love her, but she's had a very hard life. She's been let down by a lot of different people. She's been hurt by a lot of different people. She's been robbed of a lot. She struggled a lot. And, she's a very emotional person. She has an estranged relationship with her father. Now, I do have childhood memories of my grandparents and I do love them, but around my teen years, I became more estranged from them. They would visit every so often, or I would call them every so often, but I did not have regular contact with them at all. It's partially my fault too. I really could have reached out, and I feel bad about that. Nothing really happened. It's just also COVID. COVID happened, and when you're getting up there, it's a lot more dangerous to travel. So they didn't come over as often. My mom does text my grandma every once in a while. She does not text my grandpa at all or call him at all. And there's multiple reasons why. The main big one is my grandfather has Parkinson's disease. If you don't know what that is, just look it up. I really don't have time to explain. But it's taken a toll on him over the years. He's extremely shaky. He can't drive. He can't really do anything. He cannot live on his own. And he has cognitively decayed a little bit. His thinking just isn't as sharp. And there's been some bad stuff that has happened that I shouldn't talk about because that's really personal. But what I will say is that my mom, kind of with just her history with her dad, it's already been rocky enough, and it's worse to never just have the validation you need, like even as like a grown adult, a grown woman with children. Like you still could use like some validation from your parents, and she didn't really get that as much as she probably should have. She was treated a little bit worse than her brothers as a kid. Like she would have to do a lot of the work around the house, and even as a grown woman going over there, for whatever reason, all the chores just seemed to shift on her. She had a lot less fun than her brothers as a kid, and it's something that has made her very, vocal about the way she feels, which, like just whatever's on her mind. she'll kind of sometimes just like vent at you, whether you receive it or not, which has led to bad communication problems before, but and I'll get to that later. It's worse when it becomes essentially impossible for you to receive any validation at all when someone is mentally declining. Uh, she does not like to take care of her father. He once again just very bad with Parkinson's and getting old and being senile, very hard to deal with. And when she already has like resentment and trauma, it just makes it like impossible to deal with someone like that when they're vulnerable. And so she hates it. And around the time it was my grandpa's birthday, obviously she gets moody because she thinks about it. I don't think my grandpa is a bad person at all. But things could have definitely been handled better. And to be honest, like I probably would have been the same way. I would have taken everything the same way had I been raised in that household. Um, so it's just very tough. So whenever it's my grandpa's birthday, she tends to get pretty moody. She thinks about the past and she also thinks about the future too. If she'll ever have to see him again. Uh, he's getting older, so he's going to decline more. And it's just like from her perspective, it's impossible to have any relationship, and also she doesn't want to deal with him. So we it actually was like on my grandpa's birthday. I think during that day we thought it was the day before, but we had to go to the store to get a couple things, just like groceries. And the odd thing is when we went there, and this sounds crazy too, it kind of sounds like a dream. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I'm not exaggerating when I say that there was at least like 15 old people clogging up the aisles, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I don't think like an old people group home exploded in there. I don't know. It just seemed like there was just randomly dispersed old people in the store. And considering the fact that my mom was already very frustrated by going to the store and seeing a bunch of really old people just blocking stuff is gonna make her livid. It looked crazy. I can't really think of an explanation to do the scenery justice. It's just like you kind of had to be there. But it was very odd, honestly. It was very surreal, and they just kept like comically blocking up the aisles, and my mom was like livid. She was frustrated, and uh, when I said before that my mom is like, she's very feisty and speaks her mind. Sometimes she'll just get so frustrated, she'll say something. She'll just put it out there, even if it's like really bad. And there was a old lady in I think a mobility scooter who's she was trying to reach for something and was trying to read it, and my mom just like blew up at her. She wasn't talking to her, she was talking to me about her right next to her with a volume so the she could overhear. She's like loudly speaking about her to like embarrass her, and she was just like, this old person, it's like, I don't care if you're disabled, you're so inconsiderate. Like you literally don't care about any of the people around you. Like it's just so inconvenient. It was something along those lines. Like I don't have the exact wording, like that's the gist of what my mom said, but I remember it just seemed like the way she said it is like obviously contextually applicable to that, but it kind of the way like I registered it, it really seemed like it had like a dual thing. Like there was a deeper thing with it. Like you could apply it to her thinking about her father. So she just loudly disgraced this woman, and I kind of to my mom, I was like, you cannot do that. It's really bad. I was embarrassed. I was angry at my mom for doing that. To like this old lady. So I pulled my mom out, and we were gonna finish up shopping, and I think it just began to sink in for my mom like what she did. As she was looking at all the old people in the store, and she wasn't frantic, but she was like kind of like asking me nervously, which she never really does, except like when she does like feel bad about something. And she's like, "Do you think I'm a bad person? Uh, I really try to help people. I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry." And she was just doing that, and she seemed very sincerely like, uh, you know, she felt guilty about that. And as we were walking out of the store and we were going to drive home, uh, there was a homeless guy who just looked so old. His jaw was like clenched outward. It was shaking. It was rattling. He's a rattling man, and he was homeless. He had a sign. He looked like freshly homeless too. He did not look like a liar. I just knew there was something about him. When my mom like looked at him, she just couldn't take it. She drove over to him and gave him money, like almost everything in her wallet, which she never does to people ever. By the way, I mean she does. Yeah, I mean she does a lot. Like she's given a lot to needy people before, but like specifically beggars, she never really does that. She gave him money, and she just like drove home like crying about it, like she was like bawling her eyes out. And the way everything was, and for the record, I actually met this man again. uh Me and my sister picked him up and brought him somewhere. uh he has like arthritis, and I think he also has Parkinson's, which is interesting. uh like an interesting detail. I really don't think he has like a lot of family left, although I think his brother is like taking care of him now or something. There was something really bad that happened to him. I can't remember. Anyway, it's just crazy. It felt like there were all these things like in the environment on that specific day, like speaking to my mom, uh, giving her a chance to like evaluate things or to have her confront something. You know, she acted in a way that she probably shouldn't have acted. Uh, she manifested her resentment toward a stranger, and she felt bad about it. And then immediately after, she was given a chance to repent. She was given an opportunity to do a good deed. And I think a thing that frustrates her is like the idea of doing good for people and they don't recognize it. They can't perceive what you're doing for them is like out of unconditional love. And this is something that burdens my mom and stresses her out and makes her depressed. And I think just in that moment, in this like series of events of thinking about her father, the estranged relationship that they have, going to the store, seeing all these people, and not thinking very unconditionally, uh, not looking past their faults, and then finally, uh, like giving a bunch of her own money to somebody. It's it's just very incredible. Once again, like there was just a certain atmosphere that day, and I didn't know what it was, and I only knew what it was after. And after everything happened, I told Crespin about it. I was meaning to tell more people, um, but I think a video would just be easier. It sounds like a coincidence, but the way everything was just established and introduced that day, but she really did act differently after all that. So even though I don't think she consciously picked up on any of it, there's some part of her that probably knew. And I think she was just more at peace somehow after that. I would like to tell her all about this sometime. I just don't know if she would listen to me. But that's my story. Man, my eyes are dry. Anyway, I'm inclined to believe that God directly stepped into my mother's life that day and orchestrated these different things to happen to help my mom. Because God, just as He's always molding His creation, He's always shaping things together, He's also steering our lives and facing us with important decisions to help save us. He definitely helped her that day. He gave her a gift without her even knowing it. For me, I've had numerous things like that happen in my life. A lot of small stuff, and then I guess like a couple bigger things that are kind of connected to each other. Um, and there comes a point where you're just able to discern when you hear about stuff like that happening to other people, or you see stuff like that happen to other people. You just know. If you watch through this whole video, thank you and God bless. One thing I'll say real quick is if you guys have any stories like that that are interesting, insightful, please share them in the comments down below or find a way to send them to me. Thank you.